Parmesan, pesto, tomato, and basil.
It's like a little pesto pizza on a Danish, on a sourdough Danish. So we've got a pain au chocolat and a morning bun. Thank you, guys. Can you train me? Like, can I be the subject that you're training? Like, pretend that we're working together. And, well, I mean, you don't have to pretend. I've never made your pizzas your way. So pretend like it's my first day as an employee, and you want to make sure that I do a perfect job.
Okay.
You know, doing these pizzas.
All right. Let me just organize this. I want it all to.
Is that step one? Is getting organized?
Yes. I am trying to basically put everything together that goes. So I will go vegan first, so I don't touch the other ones. Basically, I want it in order like that, so it's not touching the meat.
Do you think this is maybe one of the things that's happening when you guys send ingredients, that people aren't taking the time to organize themselves?
Yes, and I feel like people actually need training with that as well. I feel like it would be easier workflow if you just organize everything before you start topping anything, instead of you searching for it. Where's my pepperoni? Where's my sausage and all of that?
So the good old mise en place.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I'm gonna just keep doing your thing. I just want to see all the stuff that we have, because I haven't seen it all yet. Recently, we updated the pizza menu, and we're doing something radical for freshness. Our staff at the Litchfield Park location, which is basically kind of heading up food service and prep, is prepping every single day. We're not doing things like prepping for a whole week or prepping for a few days. We're prepping the pizza toppings fresh every single day. And we're sending pre-portioned toppings to the bakeries. And so this is actually the first time that I'm seeing the updated menu and toppings. So it looks like organizing is a big part of the equation. And what we're trying to do is figure out, how do all the bakeries pull off pizza similar each day? Meaning, how can I ensure that the pizza that is being marketed in Mesa is the same pizza that people are experiencing in Litchfield Park? So by pre-portioning and making sure that the ingredients are very fresh, we think that we could achieve that. But there's still this really necessary human element of, you still have to do it the right way all the way through. And so I think we're trying to figure out, what does that actually mean to do it the right way? We receive all these containers, and it looks like things are being separated by type of pizza right now. So I've got the toppings that go on the meat lovers pizza: bacon, ham, and sausage. Then this looks like the pesto pie. And this is the vegan pie right here. That's the white pesto and prosciutto.
Arugula?
And arugula, got it. And then pepperoni.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna take a photo of this, because I wouldn't be surprised if the problem we're having as a company is that people don't do this.
Yeah, you can see that I put it in order as well. So what goes on the bottom basically is the zucchini, the squash, eggplant. It's layering it is very important as well. So your pizza will look pleasing to the eye, So I'm gonna get my glove.
Okay. So you prefer gloves to just wash? It's easier to have gloves on?
Well, I feel like it as well, so I'm not touching the sauce or anything. But I also do wash my hands.
The mediums aren't going to work for me.
I use large sometimes, so it's all right.
I can't even imagine anything smaller than a large. It just breaks, and I put on gloves every 2 seconds.
I actually will have to change this later after I touch the vegan one.
So then, and this is what an employee is supposed to be using, right?
what they're supposed to follow, basically. I think it's smarter to do the vegan one first because it's all veggies, so you're not contaminating anything, you know?
Should we reprint and put the vegan one first?
Yes. I would definitely change that.
Okay. So vegan one first. All right. And is this the right spot for this? I just put it near my... How many vegan ones are we making? One?
We're one. Yeah, we're doing 6 pizza.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm gonna get my sauce first.
Okay.
And then it's 320 grams for your sauce.
Okay.
It's good.
Nice even spread. And you just leave it on the scale, or?
Yeah, because I'm also gonna be weighing the cheese as well, which is 170 grams.
How do you deal with the fact that sometimes the dough is a little bubbly with the sauce? Do you have any kind of strategies for that?
I just try to like spread it as even as possible. There's really no way of like...
So I'm hearing just deal with it. Is this
Because of how the pie was baked, basically. So we just have to like work around it.
is this okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I would spread it a little bit better. You want me to show you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, I also put some on the side as well.
So it seems like you're petting the dough a little bit with a spatula.
Yes.
I just didn't pet the dough.
You're not, yeah.
Okay.
And then put this here. Now we're gonna weigh our cheese. 170 grams.
Isn't this the vegan pizza?
Oh, no.
You did margarita?
Okay, we'll do margarita.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I always forget that. Sorry
Is
about
it because margarita was... Did you also get it in your
It's
head
just-
that margarita's
yeah.
first? Was that kind of your original habit of always
Yeah,
making
it's just a
margarita
habit.
first?
It's just we're trying to get used to it still, like doing the vegan first and
Yeah.
all of that. So.
But it's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Just... I mean,
Change gloves for sure later.
But yeah, it makes sense from a cross-contamination to do the vegan pie first. I was about to ask, did we add some vegan cheese to the vegan
Maybe
pizza?
we could. It's not a bad idea.
So you have your local tomatoes now.
Just here.
They look a lot better out of the plastic
Yeah.
container.
It actually looks better with different colors.
So we definitely pay a premium to be able to buy these particular tomatoes, but it's amazing how much good ingredients make a difference. These tomatoes pop with flavor. They're a nice snack just on their own, whereas the tomatoes that we were using before, which we found from just a regular restaurant distribution, they often didn't taste like really anything. This is our local farm here in Mesa, Steadfast Farm. If you go back in time to basically every video that I shot in the garage, I had a Steadfast Farm hat on. Those guys have been kind of friends of ours at the markets for years. The margarita, the basil just goes on at the very end, post-bake, right?
Yes. The basil, we just left it whole. Later on, we top it after we bake it.
So that one's done.
Yes.
Now, glove change, vegan pizza?
Yes.
For real this
Don't
time?
forget the cheese. Don't forget not to put the cheese.
And basically, you just used all the tomatoes just to go back. from
Because it's
the-
already like scaled, so
Yeah.
should all be ready for you. The only thing that we're weighing right now is just the marinara sauce and the cheese.
Oh, okay. Everything else you can just put on.
Yeah.
But there is a particular order for the vegan pizza?
Yes.
Okay. I imagine that would be very easy for people to mess up too, is just go in a different order. Sort of an interesting, bigger conversation around this is creativity found in constraint or freedom? On the one hand, you would think that the best pizzas would come from the most open, creative process. And that's actually been... It hasn't been our intention to have the most open, without rules type process, but we haven't had enough bandwidth to really control our pizza program sufficiently. And okay, so squashes go first.
Zucchini.
Zucchini.
Yes.
You call it roasted squash, so which is
Because we have two. We have a yellow one and we have this one.
okay.
We're supposed to only have the green one. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I see.
We're using this one right now because we have it, so it's not also going to waste.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But usually we have the green one.
Between zucchini and yellow squash, zucchini first.
Yes.
Is it because it's green and not yellow? Is there a reason?
This is just how we like tested it and layered it.
In a rainbow, green is below yellow, so that made sense to me. Anyway, so back to this discussion on creativity versus constraint. What's interesting about keeping things too open-ended is things change daily, and as a result, it's very hard to improve upon them. And when you don't have a defined set of standard or preference, the entire human range of preference comes in. So, like taking pizza, for instance, there are people that have preference for kind of the American style Domino's pie that has more cheese of the kind of artificial variety than there is anything else, like just cheese on cheese on cheese. Like, people are accustomed to that because that's the type of pizza they grew up with, let's say. Will that yield the best artisan Roman pizza if we allow for, you know, that to be one of the variables? It's almost as though we have to decide what are our preferences as a company, and from there we can iterate on those preferences. And thus, right now we're heavily on the other extreme. We're trying to lock this down, trying to make sure that every pizza gets the same things, and keeping the creative process in the background, one that we're letting everybody influence, but not in the live environment. And more so because of some standard set of ideas around what we think is good or bad. Without that kind of guidepost, it's very hard to agree when there's as many variables as you can have with pizza. Truly, I think everything that could be done with pizza has already been done. People have tried all types of weird things. But in order for us to sort of improve within our own environment, we needed to add more constraint to the process. Kind of an interesting thing. So you added both kinds of squashes, and now you're layering the mushrooms.
And then
These
we're
are
gonna
pre-roasted mushrooms?
Yes.
They're portobellas?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just roasted for 5 minutes in the oven.
Nice.
And then we finish it in the on the second bake. Okay, and then our peppers.
I like all the color pop. And then these also get like bok choy next, is that right?
Yes, that's like after you bake it, we top it with bok choy because we don't want to overcook our bok choy.
Okay.
So.
And it seems like the bok choy really does the job of finishing the look with the dark green.
Correct.
Excited to see that. Okay, so we'll switch this tray out now. All right. This margarita is going to get a nice fresh basil after the bake, and then the bok choy will be added to this vegan pie. But otherwise, these are ready to bake. Moving to which one's next?
We could do the meat.
Okay. So is this still the Bianco di Napoli
Yes.
sauce? Are you guys modifying it at all, or?
No, because it's already good.
Oh, it's the pizza sauce. It's the already finished pizza sauce. What's your personal opinion on how much cheese belongs on a pizza?
I think 170 grams is perfect for it. I don't think it should be. I think it affected our dough as well at Litchfield. You've seen it before, right? Where there's cheese in the sourdough when we were baking it.
But why is 170 grams perfect? Does that derive from your personal preference, or?
I would probably want a little bit more cheese.
Oh, you'd want a little more cheese?
Yeah, but 170 is just perfect for.
Gotcha.
Once it melts, it actually looks really good.
How do you deal with your own personal preferences potentially getting in the way of a recipe that you're working on? Like, let's say you have a personal preference, but the recipe that you're working on maybe isn't along the lines of your personal preferences. How do you reconcile that?
I just try to work around it and just test a lot. honestly. So it's like if my team has like a, like would have a suggestion, and I'll just take it and just test it out. Because they might have a great idea too.
Yeah. So let's see what 170 grams looks like on this pie. It's going to be like the margarita, right? Is it always 170 grams on every pizza? I'm happy to know that it's 170 per pizza, because can you imagine if like the margarita had 130 and the other one had 220 and the next one had 280? We'd probably make a lot of mistakes just based on all of those variables. And who knows like what all the other little side effects are. So I think that's sort of related to this problem of creativity versus constraint. If it's too open, you leave yourself vulnerable to all kinds of side effects that you couldn't predict, and then you can't actually make things get better over time. Finding ways to simplify, finding ways to bring consistency into the mix, it's not, people think that consistency is about becoming kind of a robot, about like becoming a fast food place or something, or compromising because it's not creative anymore. But actually consistency gives you a guideline that everybody's operating by so that you can continue to improve as a group. And without that baseline consistent standard, you don't have anything to improve off of. And you'll sort of just get lost in the mix. And that's been the sort of problem in our pizza program since we launched it. At first, the whole team wasn't bought into the standard flavors that we had, probably because we hadn't spent enough time really thinking about them and saying, okay, there's been a lot of thought into these combinations. And we did make it clear, part of the beauty of Roman pizza is it can go in a lot of different directions, flavor-wise. But now we have made up our minds on, this is a menu that we love, that we want to make for a little while. The thing is, it's still not forever. Nothing is forever. But this we can iterate on for a given period of time, and we can all rally around it. Whereas what we were doing just prior to this, there was not enough standard across our 3 bakeries in order to actually say that our pizza program was good or our pizza program needed work, because from a day-to-day basis, it just changed dramatically. And it's kind of hard for a customer too to not have that reliability. I don't know about you, but like when I get to know a thing that I like I go to a place for a thing, I then want to go back to that place for that thing. But if that thing changes completely, it's sort of a hard thing. It's kind of a roller coaster ride. What's your favorite thing to go buy as a food item? What's your guilty pleasure or your favorite
food?
Favorite food.
Or cuisine.
What is it?
Cuisine or favorite food? Just favorite food?
You can say cuisine.
Probably Korean food. I like spicy.
Is it something that you like to go out for or you like to make at home?
Yes, I like to go out and just eat with a family. I enjoy it more when I eat with my family, so I feel like it's more enjoyable when you eat the food with company,
If it's food that you are good at making, do you prefer making it for your family?
Yes, of course. Especially Filipino food.
So you wouldn't go out for Filipino food? That's how I feel about Polish food.
Yeah.
So we're moving now from the meat lovers to the pepperoni? Or where are you going with it next? Okay. Do you just do pesto artichoke last usually?
Yeah. Pesto artichoke or the white pesto.
Got it. I'm really excited about that white pesto arugula pie.
I feel like I'm doing all the red sauce first and then I'm jumping to like the pesto.
I see. Okay. That makes sense. You just keep the red sauce out. We relaunched this product mostly due to just internal discussions. Not dissimilar to anything else on our menu for that matter. Just for whatever reason, in pizza it seems to be a bigger deal to change all the toppings all at once than when we change a loaf of bread or we change a little process in a technique. It's the same overall driver. We weren't happy with this or that. We weren't happy with the fact that we didn't have control over our aging prep. We would prep a bunch of stuff and then it would be used kind of at the will of the employees, and thus some stuff would stay in the fridge and age. And then you have this conundrum of, do you use the oldest stuff first, which is no longer that good, and thus you're always using old stuff because well, new stuff is coming. So we had that problem. We had to deal with that once and for all, and our solution was we're just going to prep for one day, and there won't be any left over, and we're expecting that everybody at the bakeries uses everything that's made. There are downsides. One of the downsides is kind of the definition of the financial viability of a pizzeria, where you can prepare a lot of dough, which is relatively inexpensive, and you can have a variable amount of customers come through the door, and you can just keep making pizzas to order. By only prepping what we need for the day, we can only make what we planned to make and no more. So the selling out is kind of like our regular menu. It's the same business model that we're following with our bread. So it works for us. I don't know if it would make sense for a place that just made revenue on pizza. That was one of the drivers, was an internal dissatisfaction with our toppings. We also wanted to get more intentional about sourcing. When we first launched our pizza program, you know, it's hard to source locally. We understand this from our time running Main Street Harvest. You have mom and pop type vendors that have weird ordering conventions. You know, some people like to get text messaged at Monday morning to make sure that the tomatoes get picked on time. Other people like an email to their inbox on Tuesday afternoon. Other people like some web form. And it's hard as a business that's always moving to keep all of those local rules in mind. We took the time this time to say, okay, well, we want these tomatoes, and we want, you know, this meat, and we want this much pepperoni, and we bought ourselves our own meat slicer so that we can get higher quality cuts of meat that we process ourselves. We thought through every little detail. There was no part of it that was just being filled in because it needed to be there. And I'd say some of that existed before, where, you know, we were muscling through some things and some things had kind of lost their intention a little along the way. So it helped us to get very intentional as a bigger group around this project. And hopefully it's not the end of our pizza development. So hopefully it's just really a starting point by which we can iterate. You know, every few months we look at this again and reformat it again. But I do think we have to have a baseline level of consistency. For instance, you know, like a pepperoni pizza, why do you like this much pepperoni versus, say, 3 pepperonis on the whole pizza?
Oh, it actually looks good later on, because this one will get really small and it will curl up, and it actually looks really good, the finish of it.
And I think we really need to be sort of intentional now. If this is the amount of pepperoni that we are going to put on a pizza, then somebody who loves pepperoni is going to love this pizza. But if they come in 2 weeks and now the pizza has just one little pepperoni on their whole slice.
So every bite also has the pepperoni.
That's true. This is definitely a pepperoni lover's rendition of pepperoni. And I'm sure there's a million opinions. You know, I'm sure some people will scream at this and say, no, the pepperoni just should be a garnish. It's not about the topping, it's about the bread. There's so many different ways of interpreting this. I think Roman pizza has a bit of a wild card, and it's open to what the person making it wants to do. So what we've been doing over the last year with the improvisation works. The problem is that it just doesn't work on an ongoing basis when you try to improve along the way as well. You know, we've had to take a look at it, but I'm excited about where we've landed. Are these all good now, Charmaine? I think it's sort of interesting too what we're doing now, kind of making things very locked down. This is how we want pizza to be topped every day.
Yes.
We tried some version of this in the beginning, and the amount of resistance to it was intense. I mean, I remember every day you were trying to make something new at Litchfield Park, and the same thing was happening here at Shea and in Mesa. And it's funny, our team is inspired by creativity. No question. Creativity is one of the greatest drivers of inspiration. When this was a new product, and when there wasn't enough people bought into the original menu to get really excited about it, it seemed impossible to rein people in around a particular set of processes. And it's still going to be a challenge. Could we have started here? Probably. I think in order to have started with this more fixed process would have just taken stronger management at the time. It would have taken sort of daily oversight, saying this is what we see in the pizza, this is what we want it to look like, this is what we want. And so that by management, I mean education, I mean getting the right buy-in. We've done this kind of in an incremental approach, and sometimes that's kind of the necessary way when everything else is moving and when there's a lot of people to sort of convince of any one thing. I feel more confident now, but it's still going to be a challenge. One of the reasons I'm excited to be filming this is not just for the YouTube fans. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be happy to see our pizza, but I'm excited to share this with our own team and share some of these ideas, because it is really hard to get everyone rowing in the exact same direction when there's a lot of people. It just takes one person with a different set of ideas on a given day to sort of mess with this set of principles. This was the white pesto and the mozzarella.
Yes.
And then in addition to it, it's going to get the arugula post-bake.
Mm-hmm. And also the arugula and prosciutto.
Post-bake.
Yes.
And then that fig balsamic reduction.
Yeah, to finish. Drizzle.
We also made some improvements to our pesto pie, right?
Which is pine nuts now.
Instead of walnuts.
Yes.
Have you ever had a pesto made with walnuts that was better than a pesto made with pine nuts in your life?
No.
I don't think I've either.
The walnuts has it's more bitter nut. So it's actually not like the pine nuts. The pine nuts is more buttery, so it's actually perfect for the sauce. It doesn't. So when you're using the walnut, because of the bitterness, it covers all the flavor. But with the pine nuts, it's just like really good blending together, you know?
They are far more expensive, but
Yes.
worth it. The other thing about this whole conversation is it's easier to splurge on any one ingredient, like pine nuts, if we have fixed controls over their usage. If we're not wasting pine nuts, if we're using them very intentionally, if we're selling the pine nuts that we've bought, then it's not an issue. We'll price it in. We'll make sure that the price is accurate for what we're putting on the pizza. But it becomes an issue if on one day somebody decides, to use this much, and on another day they decide to use that much. Then from a background perspective, we can't sustain it. And the question being is it better to have a hot, flashy product once, or is it better to be able to make something special every single day on an ongoing basis? As a bakery, the latter is our goal. We might not get it right in one moment in time, but the goal is to get it better and better and consistent so that our customers can come back years later and still enjoy our pizzas. As it is, there was really no popularity issue with our pizza before. It's been on the menu for about a year. We've generated more revenue with pizza in the last year than the entire bakery generated in our first year of business, 2018. It's still a very small thing that we do in comparison to all the other bread that we make, but we make a lot of pizza. It's a legitimate business. We want to make it as good as possible. This pizza that we're topping right now has been on the menu all year, but we also gave it a facelift. So by improving the pesto from walnut to pine nut, by pre-roasting the mushrooms, right?
And layering it really good.
Just the even topping in the right order. That's been my biggest takeaway working with you today is there's a given order to things. And if you don't follow that order, it seems to really throw things off. Like if we buried the jalapenos underneath the cheese, it probably wouldn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
What do you think our most perishable single ingredient is in the pizza? Like what ingredient ages fastest?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
That's why we roasted it as well.
I've been surprised at how jalapenos seem to also age fast.
Yeah, that too. But the mushrooms I think it's just like how we store it. So we actually tested it at LFP as well on how to store the mushrooms good. So when it's getting transferred, it's still fresh. But roasting it helps as well.
The red onion last also seems to, from a visual perspective, be a big deal. 'Cause
Yeah.
that adds a nice
Color to it.
visual pop with the red.
Minutes and then it should be good. Hot rack.
Do you want those in the same box or separate ones? Cool. Do you like corner or middle pieces? You get to pick since yeah, middle pieces. You're very welcome. And if you're headed home, what I would do is throw these in the oven or like the toaster oven even, just for like 2 or 3 minutes, kind of get it crispy again.
Let's go over what it's like to build a bakery from one person to many. There's ways to scale and pick equipment that does not compromise quality, but just as easily you could scale your way into equipment that does nothing but compromise quality.
As long as you can keep the integrity of the process intact and you're not prone to compromise for the machinery that you own.
At our largest facility, it's probably 30 people, but across the organization, it's around 50.
At the end of the day, that's more of a question of what kind of culture have you built so far and how many people are actually invested into that mission.
Flour, water, salt, sourdough starter. With that set of resources, alchemy transpired. We're making croissant dough. It stretches a little so you can see that the gluten's developed. To hand laminate, press down and out. I'm gonna open up fully to 5, place another chocolate on the other side, and those are my pain au chocolat. Outside end into the middle, and I'm left with this braided twist. You want to avoid ones that are too dense. Also probably just means you didn't proof long enough. I'm offering something that's got inherent value in it.
When they come up and they're like, wow, your bread is so beautiful. It's like, yeah, I scored that. The thing that you're wowed by, I did it.
Your products should be the stars of building demand over time. Ingredients are more powerful and less expensive than advertisements. You should use them.